I didn't realise that other people couldn't see what I could see. And I used to be able to see angels. So I used to sneak out and say, you know, that I was going to the ladies' toilets. And when I was there, I would speak to the angels and I would have wonderful conversations. And one day I told another student that I could see angels in the toilets. And of course, it went around the entire school that the girls' toilets were haunted. But I was humiliated in front of the entire school. And that was devastating for me, but it also taught me that I was different. Not everyone else could see angels anyway. I'm Gabrielle Crofts. I am a forensic medium and forensic detective, and this is my life. This is what I do. I'm a medium. I used to see an angel, which was a lady who used to talk to me, and she was basically bathed all in blue, and around that blue outline was white, a very beautiful white light. My parents were very strong Catholics from the Vatican Church, and they understood, you know, that those things can happen. However, from a very young age, they would relatively ignore it. But as it grew stronger over the years, it damaged the relationship between myself and my family. 2 of my sisters don't have anything to do with me. Individuals within that family told people that I was mentally deranged and mental case. My mother took me to a psychiatrist when I was about 8. I was a student nurse at Charlie's, and my husband was coming up the stairs while I was going down the stairs, and I quite literally head-butted him because I dropped something and I leaned down and he leaned down to get it, and we head-butted. And I heard my angels say to me, "You've just met the man you're going to marry." And I went, "Yeah, right." Oh, he was so handsome and gorgeous and a real pinch of him, you know. And from that moment on, we've never been apart. And that was 26 years ago.
Being married to a psychic can be disruptive to our lives at times. Situations might crop up where Gabrielle feels she needs to go away from home and help someone.
この大陸に南半球最強の超能力者がいる。ガブリエル・クロフツ。時空を超えた驚異の透視能力。事件に関する映像や写真、遺留品を前にした時、彼女のサードアイ。
For some reason, these Japanese crew producers tracked me down through the internet, and they had interviewed like 100 Australian people, and none of them passed the testing. And they found me, and so I was asked to go to Sydney for 4 days for testing, which I did. And then they said to me while I was there, "What are you doing for the next couple of weeks?" And I said, "Nothing." And they said, "Would you like to come to Japan?" And so, yeah, that's how it happened. I was the only one that passed the testing.
向かったのは三重県尾鷲市。
A mother and son were leaving her brother's house. The last known sighting was at a like 7-Eleven sort of fast, you know, drop in, grab food, go kind of place. And that's the last they were ever seen of. And for 2 years they had vanished off the face of the earth, and there was no sign of them whatsoever. Senior appeared to me, and he said he wanted to go home, and he wanted to be with his grandfather. And he appeared just like you and I are talking here. A beautiful little boy. The first I saw him was the night when I arrived, and he said, "I want to show you where I am." And I said, "I promise, Senior, I will help to take you home." That's what I promised him.
と投資したガブリエル。その現場へ向かう途中、突然。
And he just appeared and talked, and he described an area which had, it looked like a little running brook, or it was a stream, but it wasn't a stream. It was really tiny, but there was a flow of water as if it was a little running brook, and that there was a tree on its side. And, for example, there was a lot of rocks and things around, and I actually said the exact area to look. And I also picked up, for example, they would find his skull or a bone sticking out, and it would be covered by leaves, and that's how they found it. I feel
ここで死んだ。
ここで死んだ。
That's
ここだ。
not there. ここだ。
この場所で彼女は殺された。
That was where she was actually murdered.
ここで殺され
That
た。
spot. ここのスポット。And when I look back on the cases I did solve, I helped those families, and I kept my vow to God to help those families get closure and the killers brought to justice so they can't hurt another human being. I've lost my son. I know what it's like to lose a baby or a child that you love.
There you go, Matthew. Get in it.
Losing my son was devastating, and it's only just now that I'm starting to live again, you know, and recognise that God put James on this earth for a reason and a season. And while he was here, he was loved and he was nurtured, and he was very close to Matthew. They were like twins. And he was very close to Therese. And he promised me when he died, he would always watch over his siblings, his brothers and sister. And he loved them. Above all, he loved them.
Mom, James, look at me. Wave.
I cannot lie to my mother. It's just not possible. I remember as a child, Mum would always say, you can never lie to me because your angels will let me know. And, well, it wasn't for a lack of not trying. We tried.
When they would lie to me, I would just look right by them and talk to their angels, and I'd say, okay, like, for example, Matthew, if I asked your angel that's standing right there beside you right now, if you are telling the truth, what would your angel say? And Matt would look down like this and he'd go, and I'd just ask the angel and they'd go, mm-mm. And I'd go, I'm very disappointed. That was a poor choice that you made. Go to your room.
Well, even if we don't tell, Mum still eventually will find out one way or another. She'll know. 9 times out of 10 it's because our angels have spoken to her, which I get very cross with them for doing because I like my privacy, but what can you do?
And I'd often say to them, darling, oy vey, you think that you can keep from me? I said, hello, I am a psychic, your mother is a psychic. I work on cases that have got no forensic evidence, no witnesses, and I come up with what's happened. Do you think, possibly that you would be able to hold back something from what? I think not, darling.
I really don't think I can keep secrets from her. No, at all. Not at all.
One thing he finds very frustrating is that, being quite psychic, often through our marriage, he would be about to go and do something, and I'd say to him, just as he was about to do it, oh, darling, can you go and do such and such? And he'd look at me and he'd go, ugh. And he'd go, I hate that. I really hate that. And I'd go, hey, what, darling? And he'd go, I was just about to go and do that, and you've now spoiled it by the fact that I was going to do it, but you said it before I got to do it. Obviously, I was chosen from a very, very young age, and it's not something I ever asked for. And it certainly, if I had my life again, I'd have to think twice. It's both a curse and a blessing at the same time. Gavin was my first real love I ever had. I met him when I was about 12. He went through a bad patch where he was drinking a lot and being a bit of a hoon. And I said to him, you know what? You need to go in the army and man up. And as I waved him goodbye and he got into his red car, I heard a voice say to me, that is the last time you'll ever see him. And I remember waving him goodbye and knowing it. And I went into my room and I cried and I begged God, don't take him, take me instead. Because I loved him so much. He was my strength. And his friend Dean rang me and I wasn't home, and then I rang him back. And I said, when's Gavin coming home? And Dean said, are you sitting down? And I said, yeah. And then this cold feeling came over me and I thought, don't say it, don't say it. Please don't say it. And he said, Gavin's dead. He was murdered. And a guy shot him at point blank range and they claimed it was an accident, but it wasn't. And he got away with it. I loved him so deeply. And when I found out from Dean, and it hit me, I actually went to the grave. There wasn't a gravestone at that point. I realised my love of my life was gone. And I made a vow to God. I was powerless in that situation. I would never be able to do anything about that. But I made a vow and I said to God, I don't know how that you will use me. I don't know when or where. But give me enough of the gift that I can help bring killers to justice. But that's, I think, the pivotal point of why I have devoted my life to trying to help other families get closure and bring killers to justice, because it affected my life.
I've never had any doubts about my mother's gifts, ever. I've been raised with it from the day I was born. If I had any doubts, I would be calling my mother a liar, and my mother is not a liar in any way, shape or form.
I hope when I'm gone that they'll be able to look back and go, well, at least Mum loved me. She was a weird old cow, but she loved me, you know.
She might be weird, but she's amazing. And I would not have any other mother.
And that's the difficulty with having the gift, is that you can see things, you can feel things in your own body, but you can't change the outcome.